What's going on, everyone? So, coming out of training camp, one of the big news is that Jalen Hood Schifino has looked very good. D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, several others have really kind of praised Jalen Hood Schifino so far coming out of training camp. And I made a video yesterday diving into three of the guys that really stood out. Max Christie, Cam Reddish, guys that I do believe will play a significant role this upcoming season. And many were upset that I didn't talk about Jalen Hood Schifino. And it's not that I don't want to talk about Jalen Hood Schifino. I've made plenty of videos on Jalen Hood Schifino. It's just, I don't think he's going to get significant playing time, if any at all. Now, unless he is just that good and that undeniable, and he is just lighting it up in training camp, and then he very likely, I do think, sees some significant minutes in preseason. And let's say he is just absolutely just going to town in preseason, then yeah, I could probably see him maybe getting some minutes. Again, nothing major, but some quality minutes for the Lakers this season. But I think the reality is he's in his rookie season. The Lakers are in win now mode. They're going to trust a Gabe Vincent, a D'Angelo Russell, and Austin Reeves, those guys more than a Jalen Hood Schifino. Now, he does have all the tools and intangibles to be a very excellent player, right? 6'6" height. He's got good skills. He's quick, fast with the basketball, a guy that is strong enough, finishes through contact. He had his bright moments in Summer League. He wasn't head and shoulders great, right? He wasn't like, wow, this guy is ridiculous, but he did have some very good games, some very good moments, showed some real progress on both sides of the basketball. His shot early on in Summer League was rough, but he really did start picking it up, and you saw that shot starting to fall towards the end. And if that can translate, then I do think he can have some success this season. I just don't want people to get their hopes up expecting to see Jalen Hood Schifino play 20 to 30 minutes a game. I don't see that being the case. Again, if he's that good and he becomes that undeniable, then great. Get him some minutes, let him play a role. I'm not saying that he's never going to play. I'm not saying that, he's just going to spend the entire season in the G League. I mean, even, Max Christie played a little bit last year, although that was kind of, you could argue, a bit of desperation rather than him actually needing to play. But it's just like, where does Jalen Hood Schifino's minutes come from? He's not playing over D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves. He's not playing over a Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent's another guy that I mentioned in that video yesterday of him being a real standout so far and just getting after it. And even D'Angelo Russell really praising him for him just kind of getting after D'Lo during training camp. So you got those two spots there. There is the backup shooting guard, but even then, I don't see Jalen Hood Schifino playing that role because Max Christie is looking excellent, and so is Cam Reddish. So those two guys very likely play the two guard, or they would go with like a Taurean Prince at the two guard over a Schifino. So I don't see a scenario where Jalen Hood Schifino gets any significant playing time this upcoming season. But I don't want him not to play ever. Right? Like, I don't want there to be the case where he basically just goes to the G League and we just never hear from him again. Right? I want him to get some reps. I want him to get some opportunity. And I do like this roster because I think this roster is very good for him and to challenge him and help become a better player. Because he does have a D'Angelo Russell who's a legit 3-level scorer and a playmaker, with 6'5" size. Schifino, 6'6", right? So very similar. Then you have a guy in Austin Reeves. Again, 3-level scorer, can playmake, do everything. You got a guy in LeBron James who is, one of the greatest playmakers ever, right? He has Gabe Vincent who is a legit 3-and-D style point guard. Not really a great playmaker, but a guy that can just get after it, hustle, works hard, chip on his shoulder type thing. Jalen Hood Schifino can learn a little bit from each of those guys and really kind of evolve. And I do expect in, 2-3 years, something like that, Schifino really stepping into maybe even that starting point guard role. We'll see what happens with a D'Angelo Russell and how long he stays with the Lakers, and then even Austin Reeves, right? If Max Christie really shines and steps into that role, that starting shooting guard role at some point, and they do end up moving Reeves to the point, which is something that has been talked about and explored, then I think Schifino very likely becomes the backup, which might not be a problem. But I also have said countless times, I genuinely love the idea of, not against like the Bostons or Milwaukee's or anything like that, but like say you're playing the Spurs. Why don't we throw a lineup out there of like Schifino, let's say like Schifino, Christie, Reeves, or no, let's do Schifino, let's do all the young guns, right? Let's just go run and gun, right? Let's do Jalen Hood Schifino, Max Christie, Cam Reddish, right? Maybe you throw like a Jared Vanderbilt out there just for like the defensive purposes. If not, you could, go with a Jackson Hayes, obviously at the center position, go that route. You go with a Rui if you wanted to. You have several options in that regard, and just push the pace, right? Put all the young guns out there and just tell them, just go, take off. Don't think about it. You get the ball, take off. Because Jalen Hood Schifino, again, is a really good point-to-point point guard, right? In that Russell Westbrook-esque type play. I'm not saying that he is or he will be ever Russell Westbrook in that regard, but he is a guy that has good size at 6'6", can play both guard spots, right? And I do think at some point will play a very significant role for the Lakers. I really do, right? I'm curious to see what happens with him. Does he end up starting? Does he come up off the bench basically a majority of his career? What happens in that regard? Because again, like you look at the foundation of this roster, you have Austin Reeves, Max Christie, Jalen Hood Schifino, Maxwell Lewis. All four of those guys can basically play the one or the two, right? In Reeves' case, he could play either. And again, that's not counting on if they keep D'Lo long term, right? It doesn't count like Jared Vanderbilt. Like, do they move Max Christie to the three? So what? Jared Vanderbilt's coming off the bench, right? Like, it's going to be interesting to see how it shapes up for the future, right? Because then in that case, you could go with like a Jalen Hood Schifino, go with like a Austin Reeves at the 2, Max Christie at the 3, because he's 6'7" size now. He grew a couple inches, so you got that now. And then Rui Hachimura and Anthony Davis. Maybe that's the players of the future. Look, the Lakers were extremely high on Jalen Hood Schifino, and the Lakers have been A1 when it comes to the draft and scouting department. Absolutely. They've been one of, if not the best in the entire league. And that's why when the Lakers drafted Jalen Hood Schifino and everyone was crying and talking about, the Lakers blew a draft, I was just like, why? I mean, I said it in live streams, I said it in video. Why would you doubt the Lakers now? The Lakers have basically been can't miss for the last 10 years. And they draft Jalen Hood Schifino, and everybody just immediately thinks that that's the wrong pick. And maybe it is, but why would we just assume that when the Lakers have a track record of they know better than anybody, right? And so I trust and fully believe that the Lakers saw something in Jalen Hood Schifino and know what they're doing. And that's why I don't think it's a weird thing that Jalen Hood Schifino is a real standout in training camp. Because again, you saw the flashes during Summer League. I get it's Summer League. Absolutely. You're right. But there are things that can translate and you can take away. That's why they play in Summer League, because it gives the team an opportunity to really see okay, what do they look like against other NBA players, guys that have been in the league, guys that are, trying to get in the league, right? You got real competition. You got a good majority of the guys on every roster that are playing 110% because they're trying to make a roster, whether it's the team that they're on or another team. So that's why I've never really understood the whole Schifino, it was Summer League. So yeah, but that doesn't mean things can't translate. And I fully do expect it. The one issue Schifino's had is his three-point shooting. He wasn't some elite three-point shooter in college, but that can be learned, right? He has all the things that can't be taught. He has that motor. He has that size, right? He's 6'6", 215 pounds. That is a big point guard. He has the foot speed and the quickness. He has no issues finishing and going through contact, right? All of those things are very massive and very important. And if he can just be a playmaker, like a solid, versatile playmaker that at the 1 or the 2, and his 3-point shot can fall, then that's going to be massive. And he had some excellent court vision and passes in Summer League. And again, he's playing with a LeBron James that sees the court differently than probably any player ever. And Austin Reeves, who is an excellent playmaker, and D'Angelo Russell, who is an excellent playmaker. He has 3 excellent playmakers around him that are going to help him develop and see things. And not counting LeBron, but D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura, or D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves, are both excellent 3-point shooters. D'Lo shot almost 42% from 3 last year. Austin Reeves is in the 40%. That's 2 guys that he can learn and develop and get reps with. And, I don't see Jalen Hood Schifino failing. I just don't want people to expect him to be and get this huge major role this season where he's going to have all this impact. And, it's great to hear he's doing really well out of training camp. And I do think he plays some minutes occasionally, time to time. Obviously, he'll probably play in like the garbage time and stuff like that. But beyond the garbage time, I could see him in spots getting minutes, especially if guys are missing or guys are out. Right? Obviously, if Austin Reeves or D'Angelo Russell or Gabe Vincent miss any significant time, Jalen Hood Schifino very likely gets an opportunity to kind of step in. But unless he is, prime Michael Jordan, I don't see a scenario where he gets just a ton of playing time. Right? I just think his minutes are going to be very limited. But I'm rooting for him. Right? Look, he's a Laker. He's a rookie. If he does end up being that good to where Darvin Ham is forced to play him, then that is excellent for the Lakers because that means he is that good. Because this is a very deep, talented, versatile roster. And having a guy in Schifino that could basically play 1 through 3. I mean, at 6'6", he could play the 4. There's a lot of 6'6" 4s, right? That versatility would be really nice. But time will tell. We'll see. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel about Jalen Hood Schifino? Do you think that he could end up getting some minutes? Or do you kind of, agree with me that, he'll get minutes here and there, but he's not going to play a big role by any stretch? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments.